This is Jacob, the host of the 4th Street Live podcast, and my new book, The Rail Runner, inspired by my life on the railroad and being a railroad contractor, is now for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Please go check out my new story if you're looking to escape reality for a few hours. It's a great read. Support a local Reno author. Thanks so much. Yeah, we've got Sober Cats on, and we've got just whoever I want to talk to. So that's just part of whatever but what you got going on up in Truckee is important. You know what I mean? And, it's kind of what we were talking about yesterday was there's a really big disconnect between that first feeling of maybe I've got a problem to accepting that you have to do something about it. That's a fucking mile apart. You know what I mean? That's like a mountain apart. It's like once you get there, it's all downhill. It's great. You know what I mean?
Had to be blue, not red.
So in martial arts,
Like in martial arts, for example, like everybody, they say the hardest part is stepping in the door. And it's like the same in recovery, right? Is the hardest part is step one, showing up and deciding that you have a problem and deciding that you need to seek a new path in life. Hence why I think they're so coincided with each other and why I think they work well together. Of course, I'm biased because I like them both so much.
yeah. Well, and I'm biased in that way too because I think motorcycles are the answer. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But it's all the
motorcycles very
same,
well
bro.
could be the answer.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that.
No,
Like,
no, no, no.
If I was allowed to drive with total freedom,
Yeah.
I would totally have a motorcycle again. But
Yeah. I get it. I get it. No,
Yeah.
I think that I think the answer is keeping your mind busy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it's keeping, as you say, often is you're staying in motion. I think that is I think inherently that is the answer.
I think there's a need for balance of that. There's a sense of like time when you need to be busy, and I think you also need to learn to be bored. And I think that's where because you can't always be on. We learn in addiction, you can't always be on. You got to re-up the high.
Yeah.
And in the same way, that's how your mind works 24/7 is there are down times and there are up times. And during the up times, it's okay to be locked in and linked in and like doing whatever it is you're doing, but then being okay with the downtime and being able to sit and settle and not feel as though you always have to be in this perpetual motion, thought process, productivity, which honestly, that idea behind the perpetual productivity and needing to always being to do something is preached at people a lot, especially when they have the 24/7 news cycle on their phone, and
Yep.
every single person who decided to like come out as like a influencer and all these making it look as though they're always proactive and active. And it's like, everybody needs downtime. Everybody needs rest, and everybody needs to be able to enjoy that downtime and rest. And
social media is not real. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been in digital marketing 15 years. I can tell you from personal experience, it's all created to look a certain way, right?
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. You're not going to go on there and talk about the shitty day you had.
Yeah.
But when you take a trip to Ibiza, everybody's going to know about it, right? You know what I mean? And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That is real.
But like, there's just that push for productivity and keeping the mind busy. I think in the beginning, it's pretty important to keep the mind busy and stay proactive, but then lean into being willing to pause and take time to sit with the self is really important.
Yeah.
That was something that changed in this last time for me where I had to learn to sit still. I mean, my DOCs are cocaine and alcohol.
Got it.
I love moving around.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to not wiggle.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Some people have to learn how to do something.
I struggled being comfortable in my own skin.
For sure.
And it was definitely a matter of when it wasn't drugs, alcohol, then I'd be a chameleon. I'd be whoever I needed to be your friend or hang out with you or do what you're doing,
Yeah.
So that it was always motion and it was always active and it was always busy and it was always noise up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you hit it on the head. I think the thing that started healing for me as well was being comfortable in my own skin for once, being able to be real comfortable with quiet in here and in
Yeah.
here and physically quiet. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
it's okay to be alone. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's actually healthy. It's actually great to sit there and not sometimes be in your car with the radio and just listening to yourself. That's a good feeling too. It's also great to listen to music, but
Yeah, people
that's
get in my car sometimes and there's nothing going on.
yeah,
They're like looking around and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, sorry.
I
Sometimes I just listen to the wind.
do know, bro. So where did you come up with this idea for the crow's nest? How
Okay.
long ago was this?
I was in rehab.
You were in rehab
I
and you
was
thought I can do this better?
No, that was not it at all.
No.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
I was in rehab and I was very facing. I've faced prison for my addiction on 3 separate occasions. So I was facing yet another possible prison sentence. I have managed to skirt all 3 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is my last chance, so this is why this has to mean a lot. Anyway, back
Yeah.
to the point is I was sitting in rehab and I was just really like focusing on how I'm going to make this long-term sustainable, everything else. You know, I decided that I was going to take a different route from routes I had taken in the past. And routes I had taken in the past have been a lot more traditional. They had been pretty carbon copy of what is pretty much out there and available to a lot of people. And I'm not going to kibosh any of that. I think it works for a lot of people and it's great. And I still participate in a lot of traditional things. But anyway, I wanted to also figure out my own personal form of service. And when I was looking up, because my wife and I were on the outs as well during this time. And so I was looking up sober living near me and there was nothing. Like, and I was just like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Spend more time away from further from home working on myself? Like how much do I really need to self-stroke versus when I need to get back to reality and face reality, if that makes sense. So something having been in Truckee would have been an amazing in between, but that wasn't the case. So I was sitting there and they call it tech time in inpatient, and I was doing tech time and I was researching, and then I kind of just looked into it, what it takes to open a sober living. Not a whole lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Got it.
As long as you're able to get, you know, a house and open the doors and commit to it becoming a sober living, that's about it. Especially in California, where there's a lot of gray area in the sober living world and not a lot of licensure or oversight.
Got it.
However, we are licensed. The outpatient is licensed by DHCS. We are very strict, stringent, and like we abide by like the hard rules.
Got it.
Very much so. And so in all reality, I was just like, well, maybe I'll open a sober house and that'll be my way of giving back is, you know, getting out of here, working with other men, creating community where my community is in this style. And so that's where it started, was that idea, and creating something that would be this place where people can come and or come home to, or not really have to leave far from a place where they can focus on their recovery, not be far from home, work a job, and work their program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It snowballed from there.
Yeah.
I got out, I hit the ground running, got it registered as a 501c3 pretty quickly. And then from there, it was running some refuge recovery meetings, running some fitness for recovery meetings, and the occasional outdoor hikes, snowshoe, cold plunge in the winter in Lake Tahoe kind of things, you know, just trying to offer more than just the traditional sit down meetings and just be willing to cultivate more community. And then you know, one of my friends, he's actually my business development manager now in the outpatient. He gave me the terrible idea of, why don't you get a licensed outpatient? And so I looked into it and it was like a 35, 40 page application. I was like, that's nothing. When you're done with that application, it turns into about 500 to 1,000 pages.
Jeez. Yeah.
So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was like, sit down in an afternoon, knock this out, get licensed, right?
Yeah.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't
think that's the case.
Yeah.
But it snowballed into it. And a lot of people from within my own community came out of the woodworks to help. And that's how this became possible. I have to reiterate time and time again, I didn't do this alone. And like my number one supporter, who is my wife, she's actually my director of admin business partner in this whole thing. She's been administrative director for medical facilities back in Oregon, where we're originally from, as well as other kind of different bigger companies. So she took that part on, which is perfect because I'm kind of the creative marketing guy who's been doing that for a long time.
Right.
And then she's the back end stuff that makes my head spin and like want to go jump in front of traffic if I have to do another form or answer another
Yeah.
administrative call.
Yep.
So it worked out almost serendipitously too well for it to not come together. And it was kind of wild to me. Like I've worked on other companies and I've been part of plenty of different stuff, from Fortune 500 massive companies all the way down to my own personal startups. And this one just seemed, it was kind of wild how, like, as I worked, whether or not it was hard work, it worked out in a way that I was not used to it working out so well, which was wild to me. And so it just kept happening. But yeah, it all started back on like day 15 of inpatient, in a shower, just thinking to myself, like, what am I going to do to make it work this time? And
Yeah.
I'm a workhorse, man, or a working dog, as I always say, and I got to work.
Yeah.
Back to needing to be able to be comfortable in your own skin. Well, I should swallow my own medicine there, because when I was coming out, it was like, I got to work.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, was I dedicated part of my time and existence outside of my career path in creating this, and it worked.
Yeah.
It's working. It's working.
Yeah.
But as well as that, it was just kind of this decision to like offer something a little new, unique, and different. Not better, just different.
And what a beautiful place.
It's not bad.
In that miserable place in your life where, I say it often and I say it with love, I hope your life fucking sucks day one, no matter where you're at. But that's the worst that feeling is on day one.
Yeah.
Goddamn. It's usually the last time you have to feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, day one was in a jail cell for me.
Fuck
Again.
Hell yeah, dude. Mine was in a hospital bed.
That's what's
you
up.
know, and
started in a hospital bed. They transferred me to the jail
oh, that's
cell.
worse. That sucks. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I get it. Day one's miserable, and man, if I could be up in Truckee in the trees, man,
Mhm.
day one, that sure would make that day a little bit better. You know what I mean? So you got a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't suck to be in like such an amazing place, right? At all. And I mean, the last time I lived in California, I pretty much drove out of the state with my middle finger in the air. I'm never moving back to this fucking state. Screw all this, all that stuff. I was in Oregon, moving back to Oregon, and I was just like, I'm an Oregon boy. I got to admit it. And then I always joke with my friends.
And you're from Portland.
Well, my wife is from Portland proper, like a true Portlandian.
Yeah.
Although she grew up in St. John's, which technically is in Portland. Which
South, right?
No, it's North Portland. Like,
Oh, okay.
But like, I like to give her shit. It's like technically not Portland, even though it totally is.
Yes.
It's an inside joke we have. I grew up outside of Eugene in a town called Crow.
Okay.
On a place called sNestRanch. It's a horse ranch.
Badass.
So like the whole thing's kind of dedicated to my mom, who named the horse ranch. My mom even got my dad into being a cowboy. He was a ski bum surf guy.
Yeah.
Fell in love with this rodeo queen lady and ended up having kids and whatnot. And one of them happened to be an addict of larger proportions than the rest of them.
Badass. It happens, bro.
She passed away, which is how my like huge push back into idiocracy happened. I was kind of teetering on that back and forth edge of like a drink on the weekends, have a couple at night, responsibly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was getting pretty bad. And then once that happened, I was mourning. She died in March. I ended up in rehab in July. So I mourned a really long time. We all do, right?
Yeah.
If we get the excuse, we run with it.
Yeah.
And so it's a dedication to her and her influence on me in a lot of ways. My mom and my dad are totally opposite. Like a lot of people are like the dad's the hard hand and mom's the soft glove, and they were opposite in that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know like for her, she would be looking at me, not like, oh, my poor baby. She'd be looking at me. What are you going to do about this? How are you going to figure this out? A nod to her style of love and just her influence on me in my life. And how do I make this right? How do I do this? How do I improve upon this rather than just let it kill me?
Yeah. And what a hard place, man. Like we were talking about yesterday, there's no shortage of drugs and alcohol. And Northwest Portland, Northwest Oregon, excuse me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anywhere in that area.
Well, I mean, they're legal.
Yeah, for sure. And I also have a lot of friends, and man, they talk about it often. They're just like, that's just what you do up there, man. Everybody does it. It's glorified in a lot of ways, and it's like that's awesome for people who are normal.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Who could maybe drink like normal people, but that's a foreign language to me. I don't know what that means.
I don't know
So-
what that means at all.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of it is a party place, man, and that's a hard. That's why I love going up there to meetings and to meeting people up there in the recovery, because it's a lot like here, just for different reasons. Our reason is because the bars don't close, right? We have just as much abundance as they do, but the bars don't close here, and there it's just you're from Oregon. That's what you do. You start young. You do it, man. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it helps if you work in the industry. I was doing marketing for multiple breweries and liquor companies up
Yep.
there. I was doing marketing for cannabis. Nothing against cannabis, by the way. I actually fully support the medical efficacies of cannabis. However, alcohol, don't support anything about that.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you. Actually,
I'm
it's just not
100
good for me.
I'm 110% sober, not
Yeah.
even California sober,
Yeah.
for many reasons.
We're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who can take a tool and use it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've seen the effects, the medical benefits of medicinal marijuana. I can't take anybody else's inventory.
Right.
I just know, like you said just now, if I do that, it's not only gonna be a snowball effect for me, but it's also I'm gonna do it alcoholically. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like to me, that's mind altering to the point where I would do it alcoholically. You know?
Take a screwdriver and attempt to use it as a jackhammer. It doesn't
Agreed.
work, you know.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. And I know we have different perspectives on this, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong perspective in this, but yeah, in our book it says, in the doctor's opinion, that it's total abstinence, right? It's just it's plain and simple, and it's very clear. And and then I've met people in the rooms of recovery who were meth addicts for 20 years, and now they're fucking lawyers and doctors. You know what I mean? But they still smoke weed. If you feel good, in my opinion, if you're able to go to sleep at night and have peace and feel like you're truly sober, then good power to you. I won't.
Well,
But
I think the mistake there is in the wording, right? And I'm
Yeah.
splitting hairs there. Is you're not actually sober because you are mind altering. However,
understand.
you are recovered. And
Yes.
in recovery, which is, I never really flip those two. I always say recovery on purpose because I believe it's a little bit more
I do too.
altruistic than
I don't say
just
recovered,
the
yeah.
action of sobriety.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
say.
because we know about dry drunks.
Right,
They're
man.
sober, but
That's the worst. Yeah.
are they?
Yeah.
And that's a tough place to be for sure. You know, you see people
that
going
might be
through
worse
it.
than being fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, well, I'm sober. It's like,
Yeah.
technically,
Yeah.
technically,
But you're an asshole. Yeah.
but you suck.
Yeah, you suck to be around. Yeah, no, that's what it is, man. It's like bone on bone at that point. There's no cartilage in between anymore.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's just fucking, you're just sober. If you're not
Yeah.
doing anything about being sober and you're not treating the real problem, and to me, the real problem of any addict alcoholic is themselves,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not, drugs and alcohol are a symptom of a larger problem, and the problem is us.
Yeah.
And we figure out the causes and conditions one way or the other, and we treat the symptoms
Yeah.
because it's a disease, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things is it a disease? Is it not a disease? Say that 10 times fast. A lot of S's in there, but
I'm following.
I saw this doctor explain it one way. He's like, is it a disease? Is it not a disease? And he said, who cares? The reality is you're dealing with it and you're going through it. So label it whatever you want, but understand that you're suffering. And that's my, like, that was my favorite explanation of it, because I was always like, I don't know if it's a disease. In the beginning, it kind of feels like that, you know, because I'll talk to our patients all day long and be like, look, at a certain point, I do believe that it goes from a disease spiral model to a choice, and that you eventually exit out of there. That's where, you know, you go from the circle, 5 paths of recovery, as they say, into recovery is at some point it does become a choice. Like for me, I know if I walked out of here and I decided to go turn it on,
right,
I made that choice. It's not living in that mindset of that disease spiral feeling like I can't handle these emotions. I can't handle what's going on right now. I can't deal. I need to medicate.
Yeah, I agree with you that it is a choice of willpower, right? It's at some point it is everything we do is a choice.
Yeah.
I think something that spoke to me in early recovery was that I was powerless over the first.
Yeah.
The rest was choices, right? And it
Right.
was like that's where to me it was again, it wasn't really that. It was more I was suffering from a spiritual deficiency.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggled with it was I have a spiritual deficiency and it's manifesting in abuse, drugs and alcohol. And it was the first one.
Yeah.
That was the only one. And that's the one that gets you fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you say that spiritual part, and everybody always wigs out about that.
I know.
It's like, it doesn't really matter what your higher power is. As I said yesterday, I always joke like your God can be the great outdoors.
I do love
Make it happen.
I do.
Who cares if your spiritual connection is more, as we said, like the rooms in the community, which is also really important as well. Community is huge. Not having miserable company is extremely important in your recovery, right?
Fuck it is, yeah.
And so that can be your higher power, is your community. And it can even be senses of the self and the capability to then connect within, which sounds like a little atheistic. You have to have some sense of being able to connect with yourself, or else if you just constantly rely on something outwardly, well, what does that sound like?
Right. Yeah.
Sounds
just like
simple.
I don't know about you guys, but if you have ever been down on your motorcycle, gotten hit, somebody had no insurance, anything like that, you feel like there's nobody around to help you out, but Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys is the way to go. You need to get these guys, just save them in your phone if you have to. Law Tigers is there to help bikers. It's bikers for bikers. These guys ride motorcycles, and they will take care of you. They're personally handling claims and will be the biggest advocate for anybody on two wheels. Check out Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys and a sponsor of 4th Street Live. Thanks so much.
To addiction. Yeah. So you have to be able to kind of connect all three in a style, right? And that can be your higher power is your program and what you're working. Carl Jung, he's the one who came up with the whole concept behind the higher power connection for the 12-step community specifically. And this is verifiable fact that he gave this to I forget his name right now off the top of my head.
Bill W.
Bill W.'s friend.
Dr. Bob.
Their friend.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know that guy.
Like rich playboy guy who like went over to where Carl Jung was practicing at, and Carl Jung straight up told him, he's like, unless you have a spiritual awakening, you're never going to fully recover.
Yeah.
You're never going to get sober.
Yeah.
He brought that back. Bill W. and Dr. Bob ended up using that as that concept.
Got it.
Carl Jung, later on in life, I believe he wrote a letter to Bill admitting this. And you can look this up, and I think it's Alcoholics Agnostica.
Okay, cool.
So this is verifiable, like, fact.
No.
That Carl Jung, like, the psychological genius, hailed as one of, like, the psychological geniuses of all time.
Yeah.
You have to have a spiritual awakening. You have to have some spiritual discovery. How you define that, how you connect with that, whether it's a very more traditional style to a little bit more alternative, really doesn't matter. What kind of matters is that you're willing to go there.
For sure. I agree that it's willing to go there. I also agree that that hung me up to the point where I would have gone out if a booming voice from the sky didn't come down and say, "Hey, you're gonna fucking drink if you don't stop." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was for, like you were saying, I had a dry drunk for the first year of my life because I was 21 when I got sober, and I did not believe, even though I woke up in a hospital bed and my life was unmanageable and all these things, I kept trying to find reasons why I was different from everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And find the differences in all things. And my life got exponentially worse because I was just sober. You know what I mean? There was we talk about the promises, and I think the promises are a general thing for anybody who just stops drinking, but the promises weren't coming true in my life.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't treated the real problem, and I hadn't gotten down to the causes and conditions. I hadn't got my skeletons out the closet. I hadn't learned what it was to truly be honest, right?
Yeah.
And most importantly, I didn't know I didn't believe in anything bigger than me. And that was really what the hang up was for me, was believing in something bigger than me. And somebody explained it to me in the simplest, easiest way. And it was like the same thing I tell guys I work with in the rooms is it's something that loves you inherently and wants nothing but the best for you and has all the answers to all the questions. And if you ask it a question, it's not going to lead you astray, right? Like, hey, should I do this bump off this prostitute right now? And you ask your higher power, the higher power is probably going to say no. You know what I mean? And so, like, that's a simple thing. But, like, for a drug addict and an alcoholic, that might not be such a simple choice. Because if it's my will and I'm in control, I'm going to do the bump. You know what I'm saying? So, you know?
Yeah, 110%. I mean, something that I've been more open about recently is like that jail cell closed behind me.
Yeah.
I stood there and I was still 7 sheets to the wind for sure. And I threw up a prayer. It was specifically to my mom. But I think I was just praying to my mom, hoping she'd pass a message on to whoever I wanted to not believe what existed there, you know? And I was just like, Mom, you get me out of this in the next 24 hours. Like, you get me out of this fucking cell in the next 24 hours. I will make it happen.
Yeah.
12 hours later, I was bailed out by like one of the few guys on the literal cell phone that was willing to answer the phone at like midnight.
Yep.
And he didn't need a down payment. He's just like, no worries, bet. It's like, as long as you have the money, like nothing will matter, blah, blah, blah. So the next day I get bailed out. 48 hours later, I was in rehab. I got put on suspended sentencing for an entire year. And they saw my year of sobriety and blah, blah, blah. Here I am, still not in prison. So
that's a beautiful thing.
You know, I have to throw it out there. Like, if I'm to sit here and say that something doesn't exist, I'd be lying.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I physically experienced that. Now you could go down the rabbit hole of over logisticizing that, or I don't even know if that's a word. Sorry, but
no, it's a
overly
word.
Logical.
It's a word in Oregon for sure.
It's a word in my head.
Yeah.
But like you can like logically evaluate that all you want, but in all reality is that's just kind of my reality, and I'm sticking to it because definitely gotten in some cells before, and what I thought was a 24 to 48 hour hold ended up being a month-long process of me sitting around going, what the hell is going on here? So I don't know, man. I never threw up that prayer before.
Yeah.
And that time it worked, and I should definitely have that time because it was on my track record, DUI number 4.
Damn.
But DUI number 2 in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah.
Oh, that's why.
You should be in prison.
Yeah, but I should be. I literally, like, by definition of the rules,
yeah,
I should be.
Yeah.
All the other, like, idiocracy I've ever participated inside, just those things alone. On top of all the other crap I didn't get caught for, right?
Bro.
That we all don't get caught for.
Right.
All the BS. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, you got to just kind of look at it and be like, okay, when's enough? And when enough is enough, it doesn't matter where that enough is. Some people say high bottom, low bottom. There's worse bottoms than my bottoms. Doesn't matter. Matters is did you bump your ass enough for it to hurt? That should be good enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's misery is everybody's misery to themselves, and their perception is all that they have. And that's their world. So my bottom was that finally.
Yeah.
You would think it would have been the last time for a completely different scenario, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, it ended up working out in my favor. That person started the fight. I finished it.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I still try to justify shit like that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
I've done the whole, like, go back and just completely do the entire inventory and just suck back the hard truth of the matter is at the end of the day, it's all my fault.
Yeah, for sure. That is the hardest fucking part, is realizing that you got a part in everything. Yeah, that is a hard part.
Yeah, I mean, if the common denominator is you, it's time to just, look in the mirror and just go for it.
Accept it. Yeah.
Be Michael Jackson.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Yeah. What's a day like for the inpatients Up at Crow's Nest.
So we're not an inpatient. We're a sober living mixed with an outpatient.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it. Cool.
Inpatient is way different.
That's like locked doors behind you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like
My
live
bad.
on campus kind of style. Definitely nothing we are equipped to do, and we will not do. We very regularly, we get a lot of people who come to us thinking that we're an inpatient or assuming that they can circumferencing inpatient with us. And we turn them away by referring them to a lot of people who we've made connections with in the recovery world, because at the end of the day, we're here for the reasons that you want to be there, which is to recover. I'm not here to make a quick buck, you know. And even in the beginning, when it was really hard to be like, well, let's just get patients in the door. No, that's out of our scope.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway.
So how long do they usually? Is it a 30-day program?
Our program can be anywhere from 90 days up to a year. I mean, you can start at PHP, which is pre-hospitalization programming.
Yep.
That'll be anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week. Some people do 6 days a week because we make it pretty fun, I think, all the way down to just regular outpatient. So you'll start at like pre-hospitalization, which is about 5 to 6 days a week. You'll end up in IOP after that, which is a titrate down, which is about 3 days a week. And then outpatient can be 2 or 1 day a week. And you can do that pretty regularly, just kind of stay in motion of things. And at that point,
you've cultivated a community at that point.
At that point, you should also have been working on cultivating community outside of there, attending meetings, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people will come out of inpatients and they'll still need some form of structure and care and accountability that other people may not need. Like, I'm not going to lie. The bigger reason, not the only reason, but the huge reason that I was so able to stay just as focused as I was because, and this is going to get graphic, but I had the long dick of the law poking me in the back, lubing up, going, make a mistake.
Yeah. Try it. We're waiting, dude.
You know, they're like, we're on.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
With that graphic information out there.
Yeah. No, it's real.
That was my reality of that situation. But a lot of people don't have that reality. They get out and, you know, if you're not ready for it, your addiction was doing push-ups in the parking lot while you were an inpatient comes creeping back in pretty quickly, especially if you don't have good support, good community, good accountability, good bodies in motion, stay in motion. And the best way to stay in motion when you're feeling fatigued is to be surrounded by other people staying in motion, being willing to grab you by the hand and say, hey, let's keep going, you know? So that's what we do. So you asked for a typical day, and I never explained the reality of who we are. But a typical day, you know, if you're in our sober living, you know, Monday through Thursday, our programming is a 7 to 8 a.m. with about a 30 to 45 minute like interpersonal check-in with myself. I run all the morning groups. Monday mornings, jiu-jitsu. Tuesday mornings, what we call Fight Fit, which is essentially just a high intensity workout mixed with some heavy bag work, hence Fight Fit. Wednesday is yoga for recovery, and then Thursday is Muay Thai for recovery. So I coach those, except for Monday morning. I have a black belt in jiu-jitsu who coaches those because I'm nowhere well enough equipped in jiu-jitsu to be doing that on my own.
Yeah.
And so you wake up, you'll do that. By about 9, you're usually home, showered. If you're in the sober living, PHP, usually they're just kind of like, they have that time in the middle of the day, and this is where they have to learn to sit and allow silence, right? Or, you know, you head to the gym. We've got access to a gym where the house is located nearby. You can do that. Sauna at the gym. There's about 60 trails out the back door of the house. I mean, we're up in Truckee, you know, and you walk out the back door, you're in the woods.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So, and then in the evening time, 4 to 7 p.m. is our psychosocial. I'm saying that wrong, but I'm blanking on the word right now. And that's, you know, where the treatment happens, the dialectical, cognitive, acceptance and commitment therapy, those things happen. There's a lot of acronyms in there. I'm trying to save you the Wheel of Fortune guessing game here.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's that time as well, and that's where we dive deep into it. You also have at least one-on-one with a licensed therapist, and that'll be anyone from one of the people who runs our groups. We have therapists running our groups. I can't say I actually am a counselor because I still need to write my essay and take the test, but that's all I have left in my counseling license.
Got it.
Wife, same deal. She's a counselor, needs to write her essay and take the test.
Yeah.
Be surprised.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And then we've got a few other counselors, therapists who also run groups. Friday and Saturday are what we call our Tahoe days. You're going outside 9:30 to 2:30. Those are the 5-hour stretches. Those are what we call like our PHP people days anyway. So like if you're in PHP, you're doing Monday through Thursday and Friday or Saturday. Like prime example is tomorrow they're going on a hike, and then Saturday as like a last hurrah before summer is completely over, we're going to do a boat day out on Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
And then we'll start transitioning more into like our winter programming. Last winter, we were able to get a bunch of passes donated to us from Sugar Bowl, hoping that they want to do that again. I'm hoping that I stoked them out enough with enough marketing material that they saw that as a good use of their donation time, and donation funds for that matter. Not so much time, but fingers crossed that'll be a thing that we can pull off again. And so, yeah, we'll go ride, we'll go snowshoeing, we'll go on a snow hike. It's kind of funny. Some of the patients who may or may not see this that were in our program last year on New Year's Eve, I made everybody do a snowshoe hike.
Dope.
Like more around sunset than at midnight. And
Yeah.
it was out to this peak that, like, I mean, the wind was howling. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was miserable by all stretches of the imagination, but like you get out to this point and it's kind of hard to like remember you're miserable.
Yeah.
And so then we just went back and did our kind of like fake little New Year's resolutions. And I was like, well, you can't say stay sober because that's already kind of the goal.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of like daily, weekly, and monthly like intentional planning in every single step of the way, from like very beginning all the way down to just outpatient. And all we're doing really is we're just kind of creating like a habitual, slow step, progressive, just one step at a time style thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, our programming is not anti-12 step, it's just non-12 step. We're very, very supportive of the 12 step community, might I add. In fact, we host 12 step meetings in the evenings when our groups are not running at our office space. Look, dude, anything that is there for people as a port in the storm and a refuge from what is, awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll get a lot of people in our programming who are like, I don't know if that's for me. That's the God people. And I'm like, that's your perspective now. I'll try and change it.
It is that almost fucking in anything you do in a way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that they use the word more often, but yeah.
Something I got stuck up on that I'm now realizing as I'm a little older and less angry.
Yeah.
Is slightly less angry.
Right.
But you know, is that you notice that God is more used in a more general form of the sense of God than it really is the Judeo-Christian sense of God.
Yes. It is. It almost is like a tool. Yeah.
However, the problem is you will get the thumpers in there.
Yeah. It happens.
And it happens. You also get non-thumpers in there too. And that's who you got to find, you know, this person who used to come to my refuge meetings that I was running, she would always say, take what you like and leave the rest. And I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
In prior times, even my sponsor back in Oregon when I was doing stuff, more power to him. He took somebody on like me and took me under his wing and was very conscious and always checking in with me and whatnot, even though there was like this half foot on a banana peel, half foot in a bar kind of a thing. You know, if anything went wrong, you know?
Yeah.
But, I just hadn't heard that prior to this person saying that, and I really like that perspective from her. So I always repeat that to other people now.
I think that's a life thing. Just like you're talking about here. There's things that you're going to talk about. Specifically, I'd like you to touch on where you came up with, or where the perspective of staying in motion is an effective thing for your program. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because Passages Malibu, they hang out by the pool all day, I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? Place sounds tight. And I don't know what the rates are, but I don't know. But I think there is, I believe, because I'm sober, because I'm an addict alcoholic, that there's a correlation between staying busy, staying active, being in motion. And yeah, I'm just curious where you came up with this perspective.
Well, let's be real. How many times have you gone for a workout and then afterwards been like, I'm still so angry at this one thing, like a real workout, not a self-paced, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in an hour, do a couple of these, maybe run on the treadmill a little bit. I mean, that can be difficult for some people for sure. But like if you're in a pretty hardcore, heavy hitting, it's pretty hard to worry about whatever's going on in your life when somebody's trying to wring your neck.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that by doing it.
Yeah.
Prior to this stint of sobriety, when I found out my kid was coming along, which I was not sober for that news and realized that I needed to figure it out, I went back to my passion in Muay Thai and I just started training and training and training. And it was really hard for me to continue training and drinking and using the way I was, because you did not want to go get kicked anywhere on your body. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Bubble water's biting back.
Yeah.
You did not want to go do that with any sense of a hangover or alcohol or drugs in your system.
Fuck no.
Cannabis, not saying I used it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used it back then.
Hell
for
yeah.
sure. I'd be like going
Yeah.
through my day and like, I feel like I need a drink. So I'd go outside and smoke a joint, and then I'd be at Muay Thai just like,
Yeah.
still hazy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, still gonna get your ass kicked.
Don't hit me.
Yeah.
But my point is, you know, that's where I started. And I was noticing a lot of like just mental and emotional clarity coming from this capability to just take all of my anger and aggression and focus it and emote and express it. And I'm not saying it was a perfect system. I obviously did not get sober at that time, but I noticed that it was an effective tool. If that makes sense. And look, if you notice it's an effective tool, make it part of this program that you want to create as kind of this unique program. I did enjoy jujitsu. I only did it like once or twice a week, even sometimes once or twice a month prior to getting out of rehab. When I was in rehab, part of my process was asking my wife and giving her a lot of choice and say in things, which I had not done prior to that.
You were a control freak.
Would be putting it lightly.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
I was relenting some control, right?
Absolutely.
And I was like, I still deal with control
Of
issues,
course.
right? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, and she's just like, I just don't want you to get hit in the head and become a vegetable. I'd made the mistake of watching a Muay Thai documentary with her where like the opening scene is a guy dying from a headshot.
Yeah.
That's not probably the best thing to show
Yeah.
your wife.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
What you're getting
That's why my
into.
wife has never watched motorcycle accident videos. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because
And so, she's like, I really just don't want a vegetable or worse.
Yeah.
As a father of my child and partner in this. And so I was like, touche. But I've got this part of me that needs to compete and needs to be that way. So I was like, what about competitive jiu-jitsu? She's like, I don't care. Break an arm as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That's why I'm rocking this right now. I got my leg almost snatched off last month.
Dang. Yeah.
But I was like, all right, screw it. So I went in, and I just went in on that. But I was still, at that time, I was also helping train other fighters. I've been traditionally trained Muay Thai since a very young age. I did take some time off in my 20s for sure, and was chasing the skateboard dream and whatever else, as well as all the things you do in your 20s that get you to where I'm at.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how that happened, was like me just being really into these things, and then me being open about my recovery, other people coming out of the woodwork from my own small community, and then seeing it on larger scales, like on larger stages where people were very open about these modalities help me stay sober. And I was just like, okay, there's got to be something to this. And then I looked it up and I was like, there's got to be other places that do this. And there was nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was just looking them up so I could steal some of their ad copy on their website to put on mine, you know, great artist steal.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was nothing out there. So I kind of just started working with it. And in the beginning, everybody is just like, what are you doing? You can do like jujitsu and recovery. And I got a lot of like looks in that direction. I've had people literally tell me, I thought you were trying to start a cult.
Fuck yeah.
And I was just like, sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like spread the idea of like, hey, if you do hard things and it translates over to hard life.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And then you can go down the rabbit hole of like, I always joke that I'm podcast smart, you know, because I would listen to a lot of podcasts like we all do, especially a lot of the nerd ones. I really enjoy
Me
them,
too.
but I'm not smart in that direction scientifically wise. Don't refer to me for like original and or in-depth research information, but
Yeah, yeah,
I can definitely spew off some shit somebody else told me for sure.
for sure.
And so Meathead heard a bunch of science people on podcasts talking about all these hard things, and so Meathead did what smart people said,
Yeah, I
you
love
know?
that. I love that, bro. Yeah, no, that's I agree with you. I think, and I think also people that might be listening might also be thinking that motion sounds like a big thing. It's really just one action after another. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I make a decision on a project the minute I wake up. I don't think about that project the day before or after. I think about it. I wake up and this is what I have to do today.
Yep.
And if I know, hey, today I'm doing jujitsu, tomorrow I'm doing Muay Thai, tomorrow I'm going for a hike. Those are great things to keep your mind busy, and it's a project. To me, it's a project, and that can be an activity as well. But like in
Yeah.
my mind, it's compartmentalized as a project. You know what I mean? So it's like I got to work on my motorcycle, or I have to do some. I don't have to tweak out on home improvement in my home, but it's really nice when I'm having a hard day
Mm-hmm.
to know, hey, I can do this 4-hour project, and by the end of it, I'll have a sense of accomplishment that I've completed a task. I stayed busy that 4 hours, and not once was I thinking about getting fucked up. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah,
So it is a reprieve. Even with 11 years of sobriety, a reprieve still looks like an hour at a time sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you need that though. Let's
Yeah.
be real. Like sometimes you're just in it and you got to have something that pulls you out of it. And we go down the rabbit hole of like their actual evidence-based skills that we promote in dialectic and cognitive behavioral therapy. Opposite action is a DBT skill, and it's quite literally I am feeling and experiencing life in this way. So pause, look at that, and then do opposite action. I'm feeling like shutting down. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling like I'm getting into this rabbit hole. I'm going to sink in. I'm going to isolate for the day. I'm going to walk away from everything. I'm going to and you'll continue to spiral down. And so we do a lot of like, situational awareness kind of like work together style things. At least in my groups, I can only speak for my groups, right? And we do situational awareness and we talk about it. And we even go back to like situations where perhaps we didn't do that. Okay, now how could you walk through that differently? Now let's go to something where let's just say hypothetically this happens when you get home. How can you opposite action that? And it's literally like in practice. So when you practice something, you create new habits, right? And if you continue to practice, then you create a new habit. And so it's that idea of like it's a reprieve, but it's also quite literally proven to help you not use. Right.
Yeah.
So who cares if it's a reprieve?
For sure. And also
Reprieve away, just don't end up in the gutter.
Yeah. And also you offer something that's a little different than traditional facilities and rehabs and things like that. It's you're walking away with something that probably most of these people have never done.
Oh, 110%.
And you can go look up a jujitsu place in 5 miles of your house pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can go look up a Muay Thai place in 5 miles of your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're teaching things like, man, I never knew I liked to fucking hike. You know what I mean? So you're at, when you leave there, you're actually walking away with the biggest disconnect, which is how do I do this sober?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do I go do anything when I've been programmed my entire life to do it drunk and fucked up or on drugs or on blow or whatever? I can go to a baseball game and be sober now. You know what I mean? I can go do these things sober. I can have a community around me that also is sober. You know what I mean? Or at least not having the same problem as me.
Well, if you look at it just from a coaching aspect, and I say coaching in like physical coaching, like I've had to coach martial arts quite a few years now. Weird. I didn't think about that until just now. And I've been to like coaches seminars on how to create a more solid system. Shout out to Adam for getting me to go to that at Elevated Academy of Martial Arts. These coaches things that he's had me do and everything has only improved It's improved other parts of my life. But you learn in these things, you have to make them easy, specific, and very much repeatable across the board. And so, like, you know, we go down to Dublin, California, and hang out with Kieran at his academy, and he's got, you know, medals from wall to wall and people in there that you only see on TV that have trained at his gym and he's brought up. So he's done the reps, he's proven, he's got champions, right? So you listen to that and you look at that and you go, okay, this is relatable because this guy knows what to do, and his systems are simple and they're straightforward and they're basic, and it's the basics. And I look, don't get mad at me for using this accent, but the last like traditional Muay Thai coach I had, Cobb, down in Eugene, he's from Thailand, and he'd just be like, basic win fights, no fancy, basic win fights.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be like, you kick hard, you kick harder.
Yeah.
You know?
Simple.
Yeah, just simple. Kick arms, kick leg, kick arm, kick leg. You know, that's it.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No fancy sidestep anything else. And he's not wrong. What does that sound like? Basics win fights.
Yeah.
Basics win in recovery. The basics.
Yeah.
You know what's simple, repeatable, and attainable. Okay, specific, measurable, attainable, repeatable, and timely.
Yeah.
SMART. That acronym.
Yeah.
And we do SMART goals every week, and then also, like, as in general, like, the program is repeatable. You can leave here and go to a Muay Thai gym, a jiu-jitsu gym. You can go, I mean, you could join any CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's Dreamtown CrossFit in Truckee, and that's how I got that messed up. Sorry. Also, you're welcome for the plug.
There you go. Yeah.
But you can go to these gyms, and like our Fight Fit isn't too far off from CrossFit. We do a buddy system, just like they do in CrossFit. We do a lot of kettlebells. We do a lot of calisthenics. We do a lot of body weights. Do a lot of medicine balls. Like, we don't do a lot of barbells and whatnot. But I'm sure throwing a barbell isn't too far off from a few other things. And then we just smack a bag around. So then you eliminate the bag, right? So the whole goal of this is that when you leave, you're ready to go enter somewhere else, and you've got a sense of understanding to where you can sink into these, like, at least somewhat healthy communities where when you walk in there, it's like, okay, people are there to train and to focus on their body movement and their time and their effort and their energy versus, oh, I get home and I'm bored and I'm just going to end up back at the bar.
Yeah. So you're equally as focused on recovery as you are as a program of living, it sounds like.
110%. Yeah. The goal here is to hopefully build enough skill and knowledge and care within yourself that when you leave, you have that level of self-respect you possibly didn't have. Let's be real. You didn't have in your addiction.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're leaving there going, all right, I got this and I feel good about this. And I know that in my heart of hearts that I want more out of life than that from here on out. And also I know that I can go to these different places rather than just another room. Well, there's nothing wrong with just another room, but it also is nice to have some variety and to be able to live a little bit. And say your thing is wrenching on a motorcycle and you're like, I'm just going to go back to wrenching. Rad.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we do a lot of the psychological and emotional and the situational awareness within, like, the feelings and the emotions and the triggers and the cravings as well, is because at least you're equipped with that, and then go wrench, and I'm sure you'll end up finding some other sober people that bike as well.
Exactly.
You know, where I've always noticed that once you kind of put an energy out there, tends to attract same, just as much as misery loves company, so does recovery.
And positivity. Yeah. All that for sure. Yeah. No, like you were saying, I relate a lot to that. There wasn't a huge culture as I saw it should be when I was first getting here as far as motorcycles go. And we kind of grew our own. And those people found me. You know what I mean? I just was building motorcycles and trying to be sober and trying to figure out how that could be the catalyst to a day sober and my part of my reprieve, and the people that thought similarly, they sought me out, and now we're sitting in a place that was built like that. You know what I mean? So that's a beautiful thing. You know?
110%. You know, and so it takes time, takes effort, it takes energy. Like I never lie to anybody. It's hard work. Being sober is tough. You live in a society. I helped perpetuate that society. I worked in this industry, as I say. You know, I helped promote alcohol and drug abuse quite literally in a legal market.
Yep.
And I made my living off that, fed my family. It's easy as hell to do. It's not hard to sell a shot of whiskey.
Right.
People love that quick, easy, good time. It's not hard. What more do you have to sell? Sometimes all you got to do is just take a photo. And as long as it's attractive enough with the right lighting and maybe hands and it looks like there's a social setting, it sells itself.
Does.
But, you know, for all my angst against social media, you can trick your algorithm into being positive too. Like I've got a couple social media channels where all I get are like people who are just promoting the idea of self-improvement and self-help. And some of those people are a little over the top. So you got to weed out the wild ones, you know, the David Goggins of the world.
God. Yeah.
I mean,
I hate to love that guy.
that
He's dope. He's crazy. But it's like, it's somebody, it's working for somebody.
It's working for somebody, and
Yeah.
that's great. It's
Yeah.
not my cup of tea.
Man.
That's all there is to it.
Where's he
you know?
running? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you running from, dude?
Yeah, dude, goddamn. Yeah, where's he going, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's actually a hilarious meme.
Yeah.
Speaking of jujitsu, it's like I think it's Elio Gracie, one of the Gracies, and it says, "You just ran 50 miles?" question mark. And then underneath it's like, "What are you running from?"
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like one of the Gracie dudes just like sitting there looking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that, dude.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I feel, minus the tough guy aspect. What are you
Yeah.
running from? But
Yeah.
I mean, I go on runs, 2-3 miles. I'm gassed. My knees are like, yeah, fuck you. So, but everybody's got their stuff. So again, back to the social media thing. If you start to feed your own feed with what you're interested in, it'll change too. It just depends on your decision and what you decide to make of it. And it's not easy. And there are days where you wake up and go, God damn, I want to use. Another thing I stole from the rooms is no matter how far you drive, the ditch is right there.
Yeah.
So even though I don't go to the rooms a lot, I can tell you that I've learned a lot in the rooms.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
definitely helps. So
Yeah,
go to the rooms.
I've heard that, or I've also, what is it? Everywhere you go, there you'll be. You
Yep.
know what I mean? There's only one place in town I take my Harley Davidson motorcycle to, and that is Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop on Glendale Avenue in Reno. If you're looking for a tune-up, customizing your motorcycle, bars, exhaust, they've got everything you need and one of the best hourly rates in town for any of your motorcycle repair stuff. Go check out Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop. It's like,
Yeah, my old man used to say that when I was younger, but he
Yeah.
wouldn't explain past that. He liked to do this just kind of like Chinese
Good,
proverb
man. Yeah, I
thing,
love
and then
it.
I'd just
Yeah.
be like, what the
the,
fuck are
the
you
stoic
talking
cowboy one-liner guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with my skateboards.
But God damn it, now you remember. If he would have explained it,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have remembered, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Yeah, no, your old timer's right, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's funny. Like if you think about it, all the times I've failed, and then I look back on the people and what they said and didn't explain it to me, is because they were wise enough to know that it had to be my own discovery. And now that I'm on the other side of it and I say shit and they're like, what do you mean by that? And I'm just like, figure it out.
Yeah.
We all do. Like, trust me, you'll get there, dude.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But it's just funny to think back on that and be like, shit.
Yeah.
Everybody was telling me all along and I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's real. When people are interested, how are they reaching out to you guys? They calling your phone numbers?
Yeah, so like we call it the ranch phone.
Yeah.
sNestRanch, right? We just call it the ranch phone. It's our business line, 530-448-4555.
Yep.
You can also go to sNestRanch.org. Big contact us button right on the front page. Big phone number button right on the front page. The entire website is completely designed around being able to contact us. Google us, phone number, and where we're at is pretty available. Sometimes I'm on the phones and you get me.
Yeah.
We're a pretty small, like mom and pop style organization, and I like it that way, to be honest. I think it makes us more effective. We have a 97% completion rate of our program, which is way above industry average. We're also small. We're also new. So I can say that now. Who knows? In 10 years, maybe it's back down to industry average. But right now, because of our like low patient to practitioner ratio, and I just think in the way that we take a personal approach to things is why that is that way. But again, I'm not saying it's for sure, and it's forever going to be that way. But right now, it feels good to be able to say that, so I'm saying it.
Good. Yeah. And is that phone call kind of like a 12-step call almost? You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
Yeah.
you call us and we just need to hear how you're doing.
Yeah.
Where you at? What are you thinking? Depends on the person and their level of voice, and the tone really is how I address it. So that's how it has to be. And anybody who answers the phone call, really, we're just trying to hear, how are you doing? Usually it's a loved one. Actually, it's more often than not, it's a loved one of the person. If somebody's calling and they're pretty manic, we're pretty adamant about like, okay, hey, like, here's what we here's what we suggest you should do. If somebody calls pretty manic, there's a good chance they're still pretty much in their heavy use, and we're gonna recommend you out to like higher level of care. Because I'm a firm believer that, if your insurance will cover it, go take that time to just have time. I always make the joke that like with my wife, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, me recommending these people to go to inpatients and some of the inpatients we refer to, it's like maybe I'm just gonna call my insurance one of these days and be like, I feel like I'm gonna relapse. Can I go on?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a 30-day vacation.
Can I get a vacation?
Can I go to summer camp for 30 days somewhere?
Yeah.
I'm
No, I love that.
joking. I'm
Yeah,
not trying
yeah,
to.
no,
Not trying to.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing, man. Somebody that might be struggling right now. What's your advice to them?
Reach out and reach out fast and be willing to take the big step. Just, it's not a step backwards to go into recovery. It's a step forwards. And it's a big step to take, and it's scary and it's weird, and you feel this sense of shame and guilt, when in all reality, it should be the exact opposite. It should be this sense of renewal and hope that you're moving into a place where you're finally prioritizing yourself and your mental and emotional freedom.
Yeah.
To be able to take that step. Employers out there are going to hate me for this, but it's ADA protected. If you're afraid of losing your job, you can't. You have to call into your boss and say, hey, I have a problem and I'm seeking help.
Yeah.
And they have to let you go do that, legally speaking. I mean, they also have to give you that job when you get home.
There you go. So your job would be waiting for you if that's what you're worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's not the case and you just need help and you can take the time, then do it and take the time. What's a year to, what is the average lifespan? 75 years?
Right.
It's 175th. I can't do the percentages there, but it's pretty small.
Okay.
But you spend a year inpatient through to outpatient, and then from there, I would say if you spend a year focusing on your recovery and being able to get through it, especially if you have insurance, make your insurance pay for that stuff. We go hard at insurance companies. Like we make them pay up. If you're paying your insurance, and your insurance should be covering it, and that's just all there is to it. Nothing against the private pay organizations out there. We just want to make it as accessible as possible, period. Yeah. We're taking on Medi-Cal contracts because Truckee is split between Placer and Nevada County, so we'll be able to offer Medi-Cal treatment here soon to people who are on Medi-Cal. I was on Oregon Healthcare Plan, which is Medi-Cal of Oregon, and I was able to go to outpatient for an entire year, and it was probably one of the more pivotal years of my life. I didn't get fully sober because about 7 months into that, COVID hit, and then we went to telehealth, and I started drinking during my outpatient hours, like filling up a cup behind the screen and then pulling it forward and being like, oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's kombucha.
Fuck yeah.
Like,
I love
what
that.
I mean?
That's funny, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'd get high before drug and alcohol counseling before I got sober for real. You know what I mean? I'd have drug and alcohol counseling. I'd fucking be like, the only way I can sit through this is to be fucked up. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, but still, like, that gave me a semblance of like, it made me think a lot because I at least had to show up and do it. Now, this is why we're not telehealth, is because I was literally able to use while on a call, even if I was on screen, it's the screen picks up this much. You can operate off or disappear for a sec, get back on, kind of a thing. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So we like to be in person. I'm pretty adamant about that. There are great places that offer telehealth if being in person is just not in the books for you. And there's a lot of reasons why being in person is not in the books for people. And there's nothing against telehealth. It's just we personally take the stance of being interpersonal and taking that approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I wanted to touch on this because it's something that's been coming. Now, there is a statistic I read yesterday, and it's 3 times harder for women to get sober than men. Do you
Not
believe that
surprising.
this statistic is accurate from your business? And
Well,
why do you think it is? Because I'd love to share a perspective I have on it as well.
I know that 4 to 1 people in recovery are men.
Right.
I know that statistic off the top of my head.
Right.
And that can be for an amalgamation of different reasons.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think it's due to the fact that men get arrested and get in more legal trouble when they
True.
get messed up.
Right.
We are cavemen.
Okay. Yeah, we're
You know?
fucking we're monkeys, dude. Yep.
There can also be the societal expectation that the women need to keep it together, so they hide it better, which makes it harder and also harder to enter treatment. Why there's less of them in there. So
Yeah.
that could be a direct correlation. There could be this society. I think it all pretty much breaks down to a societal influence more than anything else, and expectation and kind of that traditional role and non-traditional roles nowadays, like being a boss ass bitch and being able to handle your shit.
Yeah. Can't be weak. Can't have any moments of weakness.
Which sounds like what to guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
welcome to the party, honey. We've
Yeah.
been getting that story for years,
For
you
sure.
know? But
Yeah.
and I'm not complaining here. I'm just saying it's just yet again, another barrier, mental and emotional, that keeps them from wanting to perhaps seek out and state, I've been dealing with this, right?
Yeah.
I also think that, I can speak from my wife's perspective, is that she would always look at my addiction and go, well, it's not that bad.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
just
know?
different. Yeah.
She would just be like, oh, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not this. I'm not that.
Yeah.
My life isn't that wild. It's not that crazy.
Yeah. 100% agree with you. I think the only thing I'd like to add to that is, in my experience, it takes a little bit longer because of I didn't have a bunch of hot ass chicks around me telling me my behavior was acceptable. I lost everyone, right, in my life.
Yeah.
I lost everything and everyone that ever mattered to me. And that was a necessary, crucial part of my recovery process,
Yeah.
because that alone wasn't enough for me to get sober. You know what I mean? It was death. It was institutions. It was jail cells. It was literally, the bottom started to feel like concrete. You know what I mean? There was no
Yeah.
more deeper I could have dug. But what I'm getting at is, in my experience, there's women out there, especially beautiful women. All women are beautiful, but beautiful women, they'll have a guy that'll co-sign anything for him. You know what I mean? You're hot, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not that bad,
Yeah.
And, that's been a perspective. And I just want to touch on this because, just like you said with your wife, there's so much comparison. And really, to me, what a decision to turn your life around really is whatever bottom you've decided to turn it around. And just like he was saying, it's a choice to do it. It's also a choice to stop doing it, right?
Yeah.
So it's, if you believe your life is unmanageable just for you, then it fucking is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is. Because like what you find unmanageable and what I find unmanageable are vastly different things. And both of them are right. You know what I mean? They're both unmanageable. And so if you're listening and you're struggling with drugs and alcohol and you didn't crash your car or you didn't have 4 DUIs, that's fucking okay. There's a reason we're talking, because we don't want you to have to get to that point or worse.
Right.
So you can tell the story. You can make a decision to turn your will and your life over, because you lost. You're not in control anymore. And that's, what a relief that we're not in control, bro. What a relief that we don't have to make all the big decisions. You know what I mean? So
it definitely alleviates a lot of stress when
Right.
you do, like me being a control freak and
Yeah.
having to admit that I do have only so much control. Things I do have control over, I'm very controlling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, to your point is what you were saying, a guy will co-sign for anything. Is I told my wife, I was like, you don't have to carry this cross with me. You're not as bad as me. I said that to her, and
Yeah.
she was just like, no. I think I need to as well. In all reality, we did meet. My pickup line, her pickup line to me was, "Do you like whiskey?" And I was like, "I love to pair it with cocaine too."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's our pickup
That's a
line to
great
each other.
pairing.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
yeah.
we were both just like, "Sweet, let's get fucked up and die."
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure, dude. Yeah.
That's how we met, right?
Wow.
And so, that's true. But if
Yeah.
you are struggling, like, and as the society opens up and as the world opens up and the very real reality of being a human is just what it is, right? It's the human experience, and we're all in this. I always say life is a shit sandwich, and we've all been served our corner.
Yeah.
It's when your perspective shifts that it goes from being a shit sandwich to a lovely dance, at least,
Absolutely,
or
man.
a nice meal if you want
Right.
to stick down the food
Yeah.
path.
Yep.
But like, it is what it is. It's a shit sandwich until you decide it's no longer a shit sandwich, and then knowing that you're just part of this existence, that you're not the only person struggling. I always drive this concept home to people who are struggling is hey man, we are all struggling. I'm a little just at about 3.5 years, and I'm struggling in my own regards, but I'm still struggling. And you're at X amount of months, days, almost a year, whatever it may be, whoever I'm conversing with, you're struggling. 11 years, you said, you're struggling. And that sense of shared struggle is what makes it so much easier to be like, okay, I'm not alone. And knowing that you're not alone is tough, because how unique and how different, you said it yourself. I know I'm different from everybody else. We all said that, didn't
Right.
we?
That's the great obsession, man.
Right?
Yeah.
I know I'm better than this.
Yeah.
I knew I was better than this, cuz like in my little world of my shit was like I was pretty self-made, like my family didn't really have to like ride me. I got straight A's. I was a fucking nerd, you know. I was like the nerd jock / skate punk kid. I was a weird collection of things, right?
Yeah.
And then like got myself into college, got myself through college. You know, I was very much like I know what I can do. I know how to get myself there. Fuck you. Like, and then on top of that, my profession being in that industry, I'm like, what are you talking about? It literally pays my bills. So I was way deep in the rabbit hole with that idea of I'm different, but I know I'm not. Now I know I'm not for sure. You
Yeah.
know, I think back then I had a sense that I
Yeah.
knew I wasn't,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to hang on to that pride a little
Yeah.
longer, you know? We're not too far different. And I always point out to the people in my program, like, look around the room. All of you have raised your hand over the same things that I've said. Hey, raise your hand if you experience this. Hey, raise your hand if you experience that. Raise your hand if you have this, that, the other thing. New person who just came in and her imposter syndrome. And I looked around the room and I was like, raise your hand if you have imposter syndrome. Everybody's hands go up. And I go, you're not alone. We're all here, man. We're all here because we're not all there,
Yeah.
as I say.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know? And as he said, you know, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid. It doesn't have to be me. Go to a meeting, bite the bullet, take the first step, whatever it takes, you know, get in there. Don't bite a bullet. That sounds too suicidal.
Yeah.
But, you know, get in there.
Yeah.
Get after it and be willing to just shed. Just let it go. Trust me, the weight you carry, you're carrying it by yourself. And the more you're willing to shed it and look at this as more of an opportunity and less of a loss. The booze bag weighs. The drug bag weighs more than what it weighs on a scale or in a glass. You know, it's not 18 ounces. It's not a gram. It's not an 8-ball.
Yeah.
I speak from cocaine there, but you know, whatever your drug of choice is, right? It is what it is. It's not that. It's everything followed by it that you continue to carry around that just absolutely shrivels you down. You know, so de-weighting that, getting out from under that rock is awesome. I mean, we're all standing on, you and I are standing on the other side of that going, the water's nice. So be willing to do that, seek help and go to somebody. And if you're not ready to go to people you know yet, go to somebody, go find a meeting and just start slugging, you know, and be willing to do it. It's my 2 cents at the end of the day is like, be willing to find help wherever that help is best fitting for you. And if you need to seek higher levels of care, find that too.
Yeah.
Ask around, ask people. Don't be afraid to take advice. That's the hardest part, is taking advice, you know, because we're all so goddamn smart in the beginning.
Yeah.
But
there's levels to this, in my opinion. I think that if you right now, what the crow's nest in my mind would be good for is if you are struggling right now and you are maybe unsure of being left to your own devices, this is a great way to take your own devices off the table. You know what I mean?
100%.
This is a great way to it's like, to me, a program like yours is a lot like having a personal trainer at the gym. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not only are you a little more motivated, but you have somebody watching you, helping you, telling you what to do, and trying to going into the gym before and going there first time and feel like you know what you're doing. It's not going to happen. So it's the
Mhm.
same thing with recovery. It is a muscle just the same. So this is where you go, where you're worried if you're going to be alone. You're worried that you're going to be around the same people, places, or things. This is where you can go to have a certain level of accountability and just a little less worry of what's your environment is going to look like for a little while. And that's half the fucking battle, man. It'd be really hard getting sober off dope if the dope man lived next door. You know what I mean? So that's
My connect literally lived next door to
fuck
me
yeah.
the last like couple months in Portland when I
Yeah.
stopped being like
Yeah, it's hard.
a low end fish scale dealer to just being a full blown addict. It was like, yo,
Yeah.
what up? You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. No, I love it, man.
fucking COVID. Let's get high.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. Yeah, that
So
was a
stupid.
crazy fucking time, dude. Yeah, that was a crazy time for recovery, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah,
And a lot of people used it as just like alcoholics and addicts do as an excuse
yep.
too. You know what I mean? It was
Isolate,
like,
hole up, and go after it.
yeah, for sure. It's like, oh well, the meetings aren't open. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
definitely caught myself trying to justify some poor behavior because of lack of meetings during that time. But well, I really appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Um,
having me.
is there any books that jumped out at you in your life? We can add it into the end of the bios, that something that you love that maybe changed your perspectives or just something you loved.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly enough, a lot of my recovery's been a lot of meditation. I mean, I'm not very shy about that,
Yeah.
and a lot of like Buddhist mindset, lifestyle choices. Some books that changed my life, specific documentary style ones, starting with Noah Levine's Dharma Punks. I really enjoyed that one. Obviously, I'm a fan of like the way he goes because he started Refuge Recovery. Punk to Monk is another one from the lead singer of Youth of Today, Ray Raghunath. I don't know his like Ray Capo
Yeah.
from Youth of Today. There, I think he goes by Ray Raghunath now too. Great book though. It's really awesome. It's a lot of self discovery. He doesn't go through per se addiction, but he goes through the mindset of, it breaks down what he saw as addiction because he was straight edge hardcore like since day one kind of a thing. So that's probably a little bit further on. Michael Easter wrote two really great books. He's like a very prominent like figure in 12 step. He's also a very like successful author and kind of outspoken advocate for personal improvement. And so both of his books, Comfort Crisis and Now I'm going to kick myself in the ass, because I literally recommend both these books out all the time. The other one is, look up Michael Easter.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke.
Okay.
She's been a long time addiction psychologist, and she breaks it down. She doesn't even use the addiction of substances in her book. She uses the addiction of something else. It gets graphic. It has to do with male masturbation, but it is pretty funny at times.
That
Like
sounds funny.
this guy like
Yeah.
developed a way to masturbate with a record player, to which I'm like, you gotta love jacking off.
Damn. Who has the time?
I don't know.
Damn.
Right? And so, but like she breaks it down from kind of that perspective. You know, there's a lot of great reads out there. Those are the ones I really liked. It started with Dharma Punks when I was in rehab. I had read it once when I was pretty high on acid way back in the day. And I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
that's a neat story, but not for me. And then I had my wife like send me a couple of books, and she sent me that one. Another great book is You Can't Win by the author Jack Black, not the famous actor, singer, songwriter. Look
Yeah.
up You Can't Win by Jack Black. He was a pimp, a bank robber, an opiate addict back in like the days when you could like ride train to train and just go from city to city, and they would have like your reward on a, this is pre technology days. And he wrote a book all about how he was just constantly chasing the win and the high of like robbing banks and making it big and chasing his opiate addiction and everything else. And at the end of it, it's just like, when I finally succumbed to the fact that that was not the way to be and that I had to change my life. So that's a pretty wild one. It's not even really necessarily recovery specific, but it's very recovery subject and throughout the whole thing.
Adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great books, honestly. I'm doing a lot of them on Injustice
Yeah.
right now. Gabriel Mate's Myth of Normal. It's like 600 pages and it's a long haul, but worth it.
Cool.
I'm reading a book right now called Risk. The lady actually is from Tahoe, and I'm forgetting her name, but one of the guys who came out of the woodworks at my gym, he follows a path of sobriety, gave me the book, and his thing was river rafting, and she's like this gnarly river person who just talks about how she dealt with like an addict brother and then took over his son and everything else, and kind of from that perspective, and that it's
Almost
more
like an Al-Anon perspective.
yeah,
Cool.
it's more of like it's more of a story of resilience, but it's really awesome. I'm like halfway through it and I have a hard time putting it down.
Yeah.
You know, don't be afraid to just read some stories that have nothing to do with that. You know,
Yeah.
disconnect a little bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself. Right.
I'm a fiction author.
Yeah, fiction.
So
Go to the fiction route, dude.
for
Too.
sure. Yeah.
Disconnect as well.
That's an escape. That's disconnect. That's
Yeah.
Lay's potato chips, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but substance is just as good as being able to disconnect and not take yourself too seriously too. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and pay attention to life. Pay attention to the people around you. If you've been tuning into a channel, maybe tune your ears into a different channel and listen to other folks and
Real.
like look and read and
100%.
go online and seek things out and be willing and open to new stuff.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We will put all your stuff. It's at the Crow's Nest Ranch on Instagram.
I think it's Crow's Nest Ranch Truckee.
On Instagram.
Yeah, because there is a Crow's Nest Ranch in Texas. They're like a traditional actual horse ranch. The horse ranch, it's now Crow Bar actually, because my brother took over the ranch and he renamed it to Crow Bar Ranch. So yeah, I mean, we're Crow's Nest Ranch Truckee on Instagram. crowsnestranch.org is our website.
Cool. If you're struggling and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you have a guy right here. This is your burning bush moment. Give him a call. And I promise you, your life won't fucking get worse. How about that? You know what I mean? So
for sure.
You know?
I mean, it might get a little worse. The level of activity we do, if you're not used to that at first, might suck. But hey, it's a good suck.
It is a good. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being here, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon. Thanks so much.